about the 12 maxims for teaching. Now, when we understand maxims, these are simply principles of teaching. So, how do we understand this? When a teacher is trying to teach a student, there should be maximum involvement. The idea is to bring in creativity, make the class much more appealing and attractive, and there should be certain general truths that should be established, how a child would develop learning at the best. And then the idea is to move systematically. I cannot teach you directly carrying and borrowing and division unless and until I teach you the science of multiplication, addition, subtraction. So that is the basic idea under maxims. It has to be systematic. Now, how does it become systematic? So there are 12 general principles for these. We would understand these one by one. So the first one that we would understand is from known to unknown. Now, from known to unknown means when you are trying to explain a child about something, you try to tell him about his known world and then introduce the unknown world to him. For example, you would talk to child about mother, father, grandparents, and then introduce might be relatives, might be cousins, uncle, aunt. So those relations a child would understand only once he knows the known people around them. And then when, let's say, an uncle or an aunt visits, then there could be an unknown relation that could be converted into a known relation. And that's how we move from known to unknown. Whenever we are trying to attain knowledge, everything that is told should be known, and slowly and gradually new areas must be explored, and this new knowledge is slowly and gradually assimilated into the old and existing knowledge. The next point that we need to focus on is from simple to complex. As I said, we need to understand the science first. So I need to teach a child about plus, minus, multiplication, division. Then only I can talk about the principles of, let's say, algebra or quadratic equations or whatsoever it is. But these basic science are must. So we move from a simple concept and slowly and gradually towards a complex concept. We can't just tell a student of grade 1 to understand a quadratic equation and then later when he is in class 3 we talk to him about plus, minus, addition. No. The next is from concrete to abstract. Now, concrete means the solid things. Let's say I talk to students about solar system, so I need to understand, help students understand what are planets, what is a star, and the components of a universe, the components of a galaxy, and then I can talk to them about different aspects. Then when I say to a child that create a project based on that, then they can use abstract imaginations with might be small thermocol balls or plastic beads where they can depict each of the items, or balls might be, and depict each of the planets or stars with whatever they want. So they can create the whole of universe, galaxy or solar system or whatsoever. But the idea is having a concrete or a basic knowledge of something and then moving towards the imaginative concept. So that is from concrete to abstract. The next is from analysis to synthesis. Now, analysis means I am breaking down a problem into convenient sections, and synthesis means I am talking about everything all in one go. Now let's talk about human physiology. Let's say I am talking about any system, might be, let's say, circulatory system. Now when I am trying to explain circulatory system, I'll explain arteries, veins, the valves, the function of the heart, the 4 chambers of the heart, and then that is analysis. So I am breaking down the circulatory system under different heads, and then I am trying to integrate and explain the whole of the circulatory system, how you have the oxygenated blood that flows and the deoxygenated blood that flows. So that is from analysis to synthesis. First we break down the complex thing into parts and then we try to assemble it under synthesis. Once the parts are known, it's very simple to bring them together and derive a meaning for them. So these were the first 4 maxims. Let's move on to next 4 maxims. These are moving from particular to general. Whenever I am talking about, let's say, rules of English grammar, I'll give you one example. Ram came home late. Now, came home is a kind of past tense that I am trying to explain. So, I gave an example and then I am trying to explain what is a past tense. Now, once you know with this example what is a past tense, you would be able to apply it to different cases. So, what is past tense would be explained after the example is given, and that is moving from a particular to general criteria. The next is moving from empirical to rational. Empirical means first hand observation. You take the children to the field survey, ask them to do something in the agricultural land, and that is what they observe, what they do. They see how the plant, how the seeds are sown, and how the tractors plow, and all the concepts in the agriculture. And then you ask them to understand the rational aspects, which deals with arguments, which deals with conclusion, and then they can debate might be whether MSP is good for farmers or not. Similarly, we have another example. Let's say I am boiling a water. I'm boiling the water. Now, when I'm boiling the water, this is an empirical observation that the students would see that water is boiling. They'll see bubbles moving up and there is a kind of pattern that would be seen. So, then you can explain them what is a convection current, what is kinetic energy, what is heat energy. So, that is again moving from empirical to rational. You first ask them to observe and then you ask them to understand or derive explanations based on the arguments that are there. The next is moving from induction to deduction. Now, this is something that we already talked about, ISD. Inductive approach means moving from specific to general. Now, when I say moving from specific to general, I say, very simple example, potassium combines with hydrogen to form potassium hydride. Now, this is a specific statement. A general statement that I would derive is any of the element when combines with hydrogen, it would give hydride. Now, this is a general statement. So, from inductive, I am taking one example trying to explain it to the students. Now, under deductive, I know the general aspects and then I can move to certain other specific aspects. So, let's say I give this example of potassium. Potassium combines with hydrogen to form potassium hydride, and then I say anything that combines with hydrogen gives you hydride. Then I move to another example in the case of deduction. Now I have a general statement with me. From this I derive boron combines with hydrogen to form boron hydride. So this is moving from general to specific, which is done through deduction. So we move from induction to deduction or inductive approach to a deductive approach. We have covered a separate lecture on inductive and deductive. Cover it very carefully. Very important and very must topic that you must know. The next is psychological to logical. Now this is something very interesting. I want to teach you maxims of teaching. Now you do not have any interest in teaching aptitude, you just want to clear your NET examination, and for that in all the cases you have to study the maxims of teaching. Now what I need to do is might be bring in examples, talk about some of the things that would interest you, bring in examples from let's say water boiling or kids playing, and try to introduce facts in different manner. So this would create interest. Once you have the interest, then we can move on to logical aspects. Okay, these are the 12 maxims that you have to know, and you could be asked examples based on these maxims, and this is a very simple topic. If you understand it in the way we did, it would become very simple for you. So that is how we understand how we move from psychological to logical. So these were the next 4 maxims. Now coming on to the last 4 maxims. Now the next maxim is moving from actual to representative. Actual is what you actually see. Representative is you are trying to represent it with something. Let's say I show the children moon. Now moon is something that is actual and the child sees it. Now when a child is asked to create a project, he would represent it might be with a cotton ball. So what would happen? That is representative. But at the first go, the things become very simple if actual examples are cited and actual objects are being shown. And this is particularly true with school students or kindergarten students. Let's say you are walking on the road and you see a dog barking. You tell a child this is a dog barking. Now the next time if you bring in a representative model or a dummy, or might be a toy of a dog, then the child would be able to easily comprehend it, and that's why you might see a lot of children loving to go to zoo. Okay, zoo or sanctuaries or national parks whatsoever. So that is the idea. The next is from whole to part. We always try to acquaint the whole of the concept. So in the maxims we talked about in the very beginning that we are focusing on making the content attractive, appealing. So what are the ways we can do that? So there are 12 ways. Now this was an introduction. So I introduced the whole of the concept, and then we are moving part by part. That is, each of the 12 parts we are discussing. So that is moving from whole to a part, giving a quick introduction about the concept that we are going to cover, and then introducing it step by step. The next is from definite to indefinite. Now definite is something which has limited boundaries, limited scope. Indefinite is something that is very, very vast. So when I say definite, grammar is a very good example. You can talk about Hindi grammar, regional grammar, English grammar, or any other grammar. So grammar has well-defined set of rules. So this is past tense, this is present tense, this is future tense. You cannot move from here to there. Okay. So now when you have the set rules that are there, what you are trying to do is, from that set rules of grammar, that is definite thing that you have learned, you can write indefinite things. For example, letter writing, story writing, pressay writing, essay writing. So all of this is something that is open-ended, and that can be derived if you have a basic good grammar. So here we understand how we move from a definite to an indefinite. And the last is moving from near to afar. Now this is very, very applicative for students. Let's say you are talking to children about how gardens look like or how lakes look like. So what you would do is, in the city you are based in, let's say you are in the city of lakes, and you talk to them about the 4 major lakes of your cities. Obviously, the student is well aware about those 4 lakes, because he or she might be visiting that on the weekends, or might be going there for outing. So they are acquainted with the near things. Now, when you are trying to introduce the same concept at a larger scale, the various lakes across India, so might be Wular Lake, Dal Lake, Chilka Lake, then it becomes much more easier for a child to comprehend, okay, these are all lakes which are similar to the lakes that I have in my city. So getting acquainted from near to far is another maxim of teaching. So with this 12 maxims, if you follow, your teaching is highly successful, and the sole idea of this lecture is how to make your teaching successful. We would be covering many interesting lectures. Stay tuned. Have a wonderful day.